An OU fan in California. I was hoping they would eventually join the Pac-12. That was years ago, but the SEC would be interesting. But Oklahoma's also tied to Oklahoma State. Not sure how that works out. And then there's a lot of response. I mean, there's a lot of people. You guys, this is great.
Well, for being tied to Oklahoma State sure wasn't informed about today's news that was dropping based on their statement. They have had the most emphatic statement of anybody who has commented. OU's statement was a big ball of nothing, basically. But Oklahoma State's was very matter of fact. So I know that that's been talked about in the past. If Oklahoma leaves, they have to bring Oklahoma State with them. I know there's also been, talk previously that Texas left, and that means that Tech would probably, that kind of deal. But I don't think so in this case. I think if you're talking about a move to the SEC or something of this nature, then sorry, buddy, but you're not towing along with us. You're not tagging along with us. This is just for us two, most likely. But you know what? I'm sure. Here's the thing. I say that, and as we saw when the Big 12 went through their last realignment debacle, politics isn't even involved yet. But politics will very quickly get involved in this if there are some dominoes to fall. It
is Mad Dog Jones on our YouTube. Dog fan here. Let me just tell y'all, knowing Texas and Oklahoma wouldn't be able to dictate their politics or money like they do in the Big 12, so they need to leave that way of life at the door. And then Ghost of Peep, the Big 12 could just probably get Houston or SMU to. I don't know if that's ever going to work unless they just aren't going to be a part of the Autonomy 5 type conferences, because you don't want to add those who aren't in it to try to survive to have your conference survive. You got to either go find something yourself and have value, or you're left out.
You have to think about it this way. So right now, if you're Baylor or TCU or Texas Tech, some of those schools, then you're already fighting an uphill battle as it is against the bigger schools like the UTs and the OUs, not only based on history, but just, facilities and money, power, that kind of thing. But, certainly that's I don't know, man. I just don't think that you open that door, because if you're already fighting those teams already, now they're leaving you. They're going to the bigger, better, shinier, richer conference, and they're going to be recruiting, even better than they were, which is not a lot of room to go up, but there would. So now you're fighting those teams that were at least in your conference, but now they're the SEC pool. You pull Houston, SMU, for example, into the conference. Well, now they're on your level. You've had them below you. No matter how many games SMU wins or Houston wins or whatever, they can't recruit year by year on your level because they're not Big 12 schools. So you'd lose even more favor in battles with Texas and Oklahoma recruits, and then you'd also be bringing 2 or 3 schools up to your level and evening. So now Houston kids, if Houston's in the Big 12, why go to Waco? Why go to Fort Worth? Unless you just really want to get out of town. So they would be diluting their opportunities, I think, in a major way. If they were to add, if the Big 12 were to add schools and it was be the Texas schools, I don't think that is good news.
I would think the only reason you would do that is that is your last resort. Because your first resort, if Texas and OU leave, is probably to say, look, this thing is falling apart again, and it's going to happen every decade, and now there's not the big, gigantic money schools to kind of anchor us. And so then you start calling around, and if everybody in the Big 12 gets told no, which won't happen, but if the majority of them get told no, because if the SEC goes to 16, then the Big 10 will want to go to 16, and the Pac-12 will want to go to 16, and the ACC will go to 16, and the ACC only has to pick up 2 more schools too.
West Virginia is one of them. There you go.
Yeah, so there you go. So
that would make sense.
So then you have all these things of just wanting to be 16, which
Iowa State to the Big 10.
Yeah, so you have those things that are easy moves for some people. Kansas could probably be in the Big 10.
Their only pull is basketball, but their pull in basketball is really strong.
Yeah, it is. Isn't Kansas a pretty large school?
It's a decent-sized school.
They might be, but the basketball program is the pull there, so just that alone would have somebody, I would imagine, interested in what that would look like and could add to their league.
I'm an Iowa State grad from Jarrett on YouTube. Scared who would take us? The Big 12 is dead. Long live the Big 12. Where are you going to go now, Bears? Ha, ha, ha. I see that, and again, that's part of the arrogance of being a part of the hierarchy or whatever.
Is Iowa State a part of the
Iowa State's not? No, that wasn't from the Iowa State fan. That was just from somebody wanting to say. And I got a direct message on Twitter from a Texas Tech fan. You can't be saved this time, Baylor. Texas Tech, you're going to possibly need to be a part of that net as well. And I see this. See, and this is where the Big 12 to me fails. When something like this happens, you see Tech or Oklahoma State or whatever, they're like eating the other ones. Like, where are you going to go? You're all in the same boat, except for Texas and Oklahoma, maybe Kansas and West Virginia.
The other thing is that the other reason that the Big 12 came back together is those schools put out their feelers and all kind of had reasons, like whether it was the Pac-12 saying we don't want religious schools or what, I don't know, and I don't even know if that's true, but like that was
it wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But the other thing was one of the reasons that the Pac-12 didn't want Texas Tech and Oklahoma State is that the Pac-12 has a really good academic number right now, and I'm not knocking Texas Tech and Oklahoma State, but they're not the same kind of school that Cal or Stanford or.
Dude, if anybody takes offense to that very obvious and very true statement, I'm sorry, but in comparison to Stanford, Texas Tech is a diploma mill.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm not trying to be like, dude on YouTube of ha ha ha. I'm just saying, like, that's reality.
Yeah, and then that's part of this. Like that's the thing about the Big Ten is like always talking about that. The Big Ten doesn't have a bad school in it when it comes to that.
Right. Yeah, no, academics would come into play. There would certainly be some schools that automatically, for example, if you're trying to go to the Big Ten, academically, you're not going to qualify for that. If you're going west to the Pac-12, maybe socially, like a Baylor would not qualify for that because, just there would be too much of a.
Well, and part of it is there's rules in California about traveling to Texas or states that have some of the laws that Texas has, which are prohibitive.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think,
I
mean, like we're getting real in the weeds on, possibilities. But the thing is there are a lot of possibilities that could happen. Like it could be the Big 12 just stays as is. It could be the Big 12 loses a couple and they turn into like a glorified AAC. It could be they all just go their separate ways. And, you see a complete split and the elimination of a fifth Power 5. And now there's really only a Power 4 and there's 4 16-team leagues. And, then maybe some leftovers with the at least the independents involved in that, like the Notre Dames. But, yeah, I mean, there's a million possibilities with this. And all it took was one rumor to basically just set fire to college football.
It's one match in a forest, unfortunately, that has not had a lot of rain. Kevin, this is kind of funny. Texas statement, speculation swirls around college athletics. We will not address rumors or speculation. Oklahoma, the college athletic landscape is shifting constantly. We don't address every anonymous rumor. Oklahoma has been booted from the Big 12 for plagiarism. and that's what I like about Twitter. At times it can actually be funny. And so
it's
we'll
funny
see.
when people just aren't trying to be asses for no reason because they get some little adrenaline kick from it. But yeah, I mean, Oklahoma and Texas are the ones that are holding the controller at the moment. Now, obviously, the SEC is the one that's got to receive the signal, and be willing to be open to it. But they're certainly not, outright denying it. And OU and Texas have, I think, made it very clear in their statements that there is some juice to this. So,
okay, why today?